IOU pregnancy is a point reward? Gotta save up my points. Father petition for us to collectively pool our points together.
I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do it again. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I could do it at any moment. I could do it again. There's no way. There's no way you can predict. Okay? Anyway, who's gay? Who's gay? Identify yourselves right now. Identify yourselves right now if you're gay. You have to be gay this month. It's according to President Biden and his executive order titled Operation Cunt. You have to be gay. Okay, is that okay? Is that okay? Okay, what's happening? Happy Gay Pride Month. Okay, happy Gay Pride Month, exclamation gay. Hello? Okay, let's see what's happening. Let's calm down. Let's calm down, okay? Congratulations on the first asshole, as always. Well, not as always. Sometimes you kind of flop, not gonna lie. Let's see. Brian, a pregnancy point reward, got a shame up petition for us to collectively pour points together for that redeem. Also, happy Pride, you homos. Happy Pride, you homosexuals. Hello, happy Pride, homos. What's happening, homos? You know, I'm down with the gays. I'm down with the homos, you know. We're being very gay. And this month, I'm allowed to be gay. Okay, deal with it. Okay, I'm allowed to be gay. So, you know, on other days, you know, I'm not gay. But today I'm gay. You know, today we are all gay. We come together for gay, okay? Coming together for gay? Hello? Okay, anyway, let's see what's happening. Bread roll, Brian, thank you so much for the resub. 13 months, we pre-gat 13-month pregnancy. Can we get pregnancy redeem, please? Okay, we gotta play this. Supernova Bikini Bottom Boys, okay? Thank you, bread roll. Okay, let's see what's happening. Some kind of supernova. Watch out. Look at me go. Super cheapo. This song is gay. This song is gay, okay? Kev, KBD, asshole, Shiloh, and Spaceballs, they each have 60 stream streaks, y'all. 60 fucking streams. These people don't have lives. I'm just kidding. They just really like supporting gay people. I'm the only gay person on this planet, actually. Can we get a shout out to Kev, KBD, Shiloh, Tussie, and Spaceballs? Congratulations on the 60 stream streak. You don't have a life. Okay, Shoney's on give away something. Okay, we gotta give away something. What if we gave away a keyboard? What if we gave away a keyboard? What if I did that? What should we give away? Do we want to give away a keyboard? Oh my god, what if I gave away a keyboard? Maybe I'll do that. For the first stream to celebrate Pride. Oh, fuck me. Okay, what are we doing? Shoney's, hello. Okay, we're very behind already. Okay, can we just like nuke all of chat? Clear, exclamation clear chat. Okay, what's happening? Shiloh, Spaceball, Shoney's? Bro, what the fuck? Okay, you know what? I actually thought maybe Spaceballs and Shoney's did not have the 60 stream streak. I'm shocked. We have a 5-way tie. Wherever Mohuba is, we have a 5-way tie right now. Who is gonna die? Who is gonna die? Sabas with the 17 months. Hello, boob. Excuse me, it's called the boob. The boob. Listen, we're building the boob reduction tonight, okay? Listen. Some of us really need boob reductions, okay? Some of us need to boob transplant, okay? I think some of y'all need to boob transplant, okay? Thank you, Sabas, for the 17 months. Okay, let me go through chat. Oh my god, what's happening? Exclamation gay, yes, thank you. Emiphobia is here. Heterophobe is here. The ultimate heterophobe. Gays rise up against the heteronormative society that we lived in, but it's becoming homonormative, okay? Because everyone nowadays, they're all gay. Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they're all gay, okay? And it's because I spread the gay disease, okay? It's transmitted. It was transmitted. What's happening? Titty, exclamation, gay, hello? What's happening? Oh my god, what's happening? Insty gay, hello? Welcome in, instigator. Is this the month we finally cancel him? No, we can't, because he is gay. There's no canceling gay people this month, okay? Exclamation, cunt, we're cunting. Saraji, welcome in. How's everyone this fine day? How are you, fine British man? How are you? British, right? Ukrainian? People from the UK are not called Ukrainian, by the way. Just FYI. You know, newsflash, baby. I'm absolutely fair right now. Manic Geek, welcome in. How are you doing, Manic? Hello, the Manic Gay. Saraji Gay. Move 420 came for the notification, came at the notification. Hello? Move 420, thank you. I'm glad you came for the notification. It came at the notification, thank you. Boob reduction, yes, indeed. Listen, it's not I came, I saw, I conquered. Okay, it's I came for, I came at, and I came on. That is actually the correct quote from whoever the fuck said that quote. I came, I saw, I conquered. Who is it? Alexander? Vedi Dici? What the fuck? Who's it? It's Caesar. I lied. They're basically the same people. Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, like they're basically like they're related. They're related. I write the history books. The winners write the history books, and the winners this month are the gay people. So I really am just a historian of gays, okay? I love revisionist history. I love it. Jesus Christ. Let's see. Beige Lad, thank you for the stretch. We're stretching holes. Holes stretching. Please stretch your assholes in chat, please. Listen, we're gonna be so gay. Listen, by the end of this month, I want you guys to all, your intestines are out of your buttholes because your butthole is stretched so fucking wide. That's what I want. Okay? That is the goal. I came, I nutted, exactly. That's the goal, okay? Whoever has the widest stretched hole in diameters wins, okay? I don't know what you win, but you will win, okay? Keyboard Father, thank you for the 10 stream streak, Father. Please forgive me. Oh, God, Jesus Christ. What is this? I'm looking at this. Will Quan, Sex Quan, the sex legend Sex Quan, 10 stream streak, thank you for the streaking. Hello, cocks out, we're streaking. Cock slammed on the table, we're streaking. Hydrate, thank you. I do need to hydrate, actually. I have some smart water because I'm a bougie bitch. The gays drink smart water. Smart water makes you more gay, actually. And I have some tea here, aka dirt water. Double fist me? I would love to. Come over, spread those cheeks. I'll triple fist you. I'll quadruple fist you with my feet too, okay? Beat that. Listen, buddy. Conan, welcome in. Hello. I've got a bunch of packages here I need to ship out, and I gotta ship out more, so everyone, you know, we are doing it. We're doing things. Things are happening. Things are happening, okay? Insty would stick 34 fists up his ass. 34. Just to make a point. Just to make a political statement, okay? Degens in chat, absolutely. Whale Quan bricked up. Shout out to Whale Quan, gamer extraordinaire. The only gamer to ever game ever since I'm gay. Boss Quest is also here. Also, a true ally. Let me tell you what. Boss Quest is out here fighting for the gays. He was out here fighting for the fucking gays. He said, bark for me, I will bark for you. Remember, you know how Keyblife has that giant gay banner? Boss Quest was single-handedly responsible for making Keep Life gay. So he's basically gay, you know? I think it's like I think he's like projecting the gay, you know? Bark for me. Anyway, yes, that's for you. Okay, I will bark for you, Daddy Gay. He's a bear. Anyway. Welcome in. 4, exclamation gay, bricked up, Beige Lad. We are bricked up. Shout out to Beige Lad. He drives the ice cream trucks. His ice cream brings all the boys to the yard. Who wants to lick his ice cream? Oh God, what's happening? What are these channel commands? Exclamation come, exclamation cummies, exclamation gay. Okay, we're gonna come, or we're gonna be very gay this month, okay? I'm hearing a severe lack of woke up looking like this, so don't get under my skin. Let's see, Kami Kita, I'm actually here early for me. Yes, you are actually here early. It's iconic, we're legendary. Shout out to Kami Kita. Welcome in. Look at Lydia pretend to be, I'm zen and chill. She's meditating before dealing with our bullshit. I'm telling you, I had to lie down. Before stream, I gotta lie down on this bed and think about my life decisions. It's true, I was lying down on this bed, thinking about my life and how I came to be this way. That's facts. Okay, you can ask Bread Roll, because I was really just there. I was eating some Crave cereal, you know? I was eating some cereal like snacks. I have 5 left in here, which I will shove up my ass for rectal subfusion. Is that a word? That should be a word. Rectal subfusion. Okay, anyway, oh my God, exclamation gay. There's a mosquito in our ears, gay. Shout out to Bread Roll. Arigato is here, arigato. Famous Canadian arigato is here. She's so fucking red, choke. Wobbly cobblestones, welcome in, hello. We are gay this month. Nothing on Mongolian throat singing, thank you. I'm the throat goat for a reason. Note feedback is here, hello, my fellow Austinite. Welcome in. I'm so excited to go to gay events. There was an event called Big Tits, Bigger Dreams that I missed, okay? And I'm very upset that I missed it. And I'm gonna go to all the gay events, all 34 of the gay events. I'm cunting, we're cunt, okay? What if I'm ace? That's okay. When you're ace, you're just gay, but you're gays, basically. LGBTQIA, baby. The A is for ace, okay? No matter gay, sure, you're a bi, lesbian, transgender life, I'm on the right track, baby. I was born to survive. Can we play, like, gay music? Is there, like, a playlist called, like, gay music? We had to play Born This Way, actually. Gay music playlist. No matter gay, straight, or bi, lesbian, transgender life, I'm on the right track, baby. I was born to survive. We need to play that song. I wanna born to die. We gotta play this shit. Oh my God, this is... Okay, why is the music video like fucking 7 minutes long, girl? Listen. People love him. A capital H-I-M. Yes, slay, consay! Okay, let's see. Leah, thank you for the 3 stream streak. We are combing. Thank you for 3 streams. I appreciate it. 3 fingers up your ass, okay? Gay, yes, indeed. Oh my God, we gotta turn the fuck up for our national. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem. I was young, we were all more superstars. Yeah, rock out, through my hair, put my lipstick on. In a glass of boudoir, yes, bitch. Okay, what's happening? HHKB has daily, yes. This is my daily keyboard, right? Well, this is my stream daily keyboard. It used to be my daily keyboard. I used to do like this, like, you know? I don't know why I did that. God makes no mistakes. Okay, except for Insty. I was born this way. Okay, let's see. Exclamation gay. Permit gay. Why was gay a banned term? What the fuck? Definitely not Claw. Welcome in Bathrobe. Welcome in Christina. Hello, Christina Gay. Hello, Christina Aguilera. Okay, beige shonies. We're going to streaking. I'm just having my streaks in my grids. Not including me in the 60. Of course you're included in the 60 stream shoot. Don't be a drag, just be a queen, Insty. I'm so proud of how far Instigator has come. He's come from a little weak Chinese twink to an internet bully. Can we please clap for him? His journey from a weak little Chinese boy to like the biggest internet bully that we know on Twitch. Please come, please clap. Please come and clap, please. Okay, GMK, more like GM gay, indeed. We're building the boob. We're building the boob, okay, boob reduction. This board is fancy. I literally can't focus because I just want to sing the song. I was born this way. Every regret, just love yourself and you're set. I'm on the right track, Baby, I was born this way! You better give it up. Oh, Jesus. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know, I have to go all out. You know, I gotta throat it. I gotta really throat it. Better not give away the Sagitta. I would never give away my saggy titties, okay? I would never give my saggy titties, okay? But we would get a boob reduction, you know what I mean? This is the boob reduction here, okay? 5 boys, what's diversity? Today, we are diverse, okay? Diversity, we're gaily diverse. Sexual, lesbian, transgender life. She said, can we please listen to that part? Look, no matter gay, straight, or bi, lesbian, transgender lives. She really said that. She said that. She said they, thems, you know? You go theys, you go thems, you know? You just haven't redeemed Streak Alert for the past 10 milestones. Excuse me, transmit it. I'm too strong this month. Roostery, can we get a shout out to Roostery? Keyboard Bukake? Yes, this is Bukake month, okay? It's basically the same thing. Gay month, Bukake month. I'm British. I'm British. No canceling the gays except Lydia. Listen, you know who almost got canceled the other night? Thrash and Tony, okay? Thrash and Tony almost got canceled, okay? Mummy, thank you for the 15 months. I appreciate it. My sugar daddy, Mummy, sending me boards to build despite me scuffing them. I will be building the Taycan. Oh God, I fucked up my throat. Oh God. Clownfish is here. Hello, Nemo. How are you? Born this way. Hey. Okay, I'm skipping. Let's go back to gay pop. Oh God. Nemo, welcome in. My fingers are still red from embroidering. Skin is flaking. Call amber lamps. Oh, ambulance? Is that why you call amber lamps? Is that what it is? 10? People from the UK are called Ukritish. They're called Ukrainians. Okay. How is the war in Ukraine? How are my British people doing? I came. It's a 60. Nice Benici. Benice, you mean herstory? We're making herstory here. Herstory's being made tonight. Let's look at this. Boop. You see this? Look at this design. Are these supposed to be boops? Is that what it's called? They kind of look like titties, you know? They kind of look like titties, like this one. Can you see? Do they look like titties? I don't know. Okay, let's look at this keyboard. This is the boob. The boob. The boob, okay? We love to see it, okay? Here it is, and look at this fancy shit. Look at this fucking engraving here. Oh God. Exclamation hole, they cut my hole. Yes, today we celebrate the month they cut my hole. It has been 20 years from the day they cut my hole. Actually, I don't know. Can someone request subpoena my medical records? Subpoenas? Subpoenas? Double fist me, pin of shame. Why the fuck's my Twitch notification? Liam, hello? Can we get a shout out to a lot of Liam? Spit in my mouth and give me COVID, daddy. Playing games you like JoJo Siwa?
You should
wait, I thought we already played JoJo Siwa song. Isn't it the Karma? Does she have a new song? Look at this look at this design. So cute. And look at this. This has a fucking drawer. Look at this. This has a fucking drawer where they store the PCB and everything. Look at this keyboard design. Absolutely bonkers. It's crazy. Karma the bitch. Are we playing Karma? Karma the bitch. A drawer? Is it not a drawer? Drawl? Is it a drawer? Drawer? Y'all say it manure? A manure drawer? Is this okay? Okay, we have a drawer here. We got some feet here. It says boob. We got some accessories. Lots of accessories here. We have a vibrator, a lovely little vibrator, very high-tech vibrator. Thank you very much. I appreciate KBD fans, you know, thank you for sending me this. I can feel the allyship, you know, coming from a long way from China, you know, China. Anyway, okay. Okay, we got stuff here. Are we gonna look at it? Do we want to build this? Does anyone care? Anyway, this is the boop. Do we care? Yes, we do, because it's called the boob reduction keyboard, honey. What's happening? Insty message me. What is happening? Pride party. Bitch, I don't have Spotify, you bitch. Hold up. How do I... Oh God, why is it going so fast? Oh, fuck. Pride Playlist 2024. Who's like the gayest artist? Classic Pride playlist. Classic LGBT songs. Pride 2024. Okay, what's this? An hour-long Pride playlist? I don't think this is very gay. I don't know about that. Pride 2020 Mega Mix Pride 2024 playlist. POV are celebrating Pride Month. I need like really gay songs. I need like really gay. Is this gay? Can't get you out of my head. Hung up. Oh, this is gay. This is gay. I actually saw her concert when I was young. That's why I'm gay now. Do girls have their asses stretched? Yes, honey. They get their buttholes bleached too. Who has a bleached butthole? Raise your hand if you have a bleached butthole. La 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 la. Stick your foot in me. Excuse me. I love that Ito and tea. It's great tea. I love it. Spilling it. Plastic Bits, welcome in. Hello. Shout out to Plastic Bitties. All right, let's look at this keyboard. I can't get you out of my... Okay. Here we go. We're unsheathing. Look at this boob. Listen, if fucking you know who comes in, you know he's gonna request a certain keycap, okay? You know he's gonna request a certain. You know who is gonna request Insty's favorite keycap set, and we all know what it is. Oh fuck! Look at this. Wow! Look at that copper. It looks like a poop. Look at this. Look at this boob reduction. Did it get a boob reduction? Is it less heavy? We don't know. Look at this. Stainless steel and copper. Look at this. Very cute. Look at these curved sides. So adorable. Let me look at the ano. Is there ano streaking? Is there ano streaking? Oh, I gotta look. Oh, ano streaking? I don't fucking care. Do you think I pay attention to my fucking keyboards? I don't think so. Ping! There's ping! There's ping! Okay, sorry, I'm going crazy. I apologize. You know, I had a little crazy moment. Oh my god, speaking of being crazy. So, I had my first ever psychiatric appointment on Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. Well, no, that's very exclusionary. Folks, I'm sorry, on Pride Month, don't cancel me. Folks, I had my first psychiatric appointment on Saturday, folks, with an X. I was diagnosed. I was diagnosed. There you go. Plastic Bit. Oh, playing gay pop. Wait, we gotta play Joe Siwa's new song too, because she invented gay pop. Ellen died so she could walk. Is that how you say the quote? Anyway, okay, what's happening? Plastic, we gotta do 10 push-ups. Listen, I'm very unfit, okay? Rev your audio volumes. Facts, ally. Happy gay pride. Is this as long as the other one? I feel like this one isn't as long as the other one, the gay. Oh, Jesus, that is loud. How long was that? That was only like 20 something seconds. Okay, listen, that's not long enough. We're gonna have to do another one at the end of stream, okay? Frankly, my dear, it's not long enough, okay? We love you this way with a bowl of cereal. Gay Alinus, the gayest. The gayest. If you're here, you're gay. You're an honorary gay. We accept you. It's okay to be gay. It's okay to be straight. It's okay to be gay, you know? Well, I don't know. Is it okay to be straight? How can we discriminate against the straight people this Pride Month? It's all about fighting back. This is our month to fight back, you know? It's our time to take over the country, spread the agenda, you know? Spread legs, spread agenda, spread cheeks. That's the motto. Spread agenda, spread legs, spread cheeks. The motto of Gay Pride Month. This is the modern day gay America, okay? Shout out gay, let us look like dog stacks. It makes sense why you bark. Excuse me, don't insult me. You think calling me a dog is an insult? I've been called worse. I've been called gay. That's worse. Brain cells rubbing together in real time. You know, Mushiki Frank is here. Oh my god, he must be gone by now. Hello, Frank Daddy. I'm sorry you gave birth to a gay child. Are you gonna give me away? Bless this one time, I'm like bisexual, only gay. Only gay. Deppy Bob is gay. Who's going to the Folsom Fisting Festival? Are we fisting? Madonna is stripping right now. Oh, we gotta, this song, this shit is iconic. We gotta play this shit. Okay, what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? I don't even know what plate we're using. I guess PC? We'll use PC first. I guess. Is this what the gays do? Insty, am I doing it? Oh my god. Oh, it's such a bop! Oh god. Only gay for real? Are we fisting? Do it. I'm gonna bust. We're busting. Only one of us is only gay music. All K-pop is gay. Zero Twink 1 is gay. Zero Twink 1 is gay. All right, what are we doing? I'm so fucking full. I'm about to vomit pasta. Okay, let's open this. Let's open this, okay? Gay music. And before YMCA repeats for it's time to stay at the Y. Dude, it was so funny because my dad just recently found out the Village people are like fucking gay as fuck. He had no idea. He loved that shit. And he kind of used to be like low-key homophobic. Well, he was kind of like homophobic. And then I came out and I was crying because I was like, you're kind of homophobic. And then he was like not homophobic anymore. You know? Anyway. Not to trauma dump. Okay, anyway. Anyway. I'm getting distracted. What was I gonna say? I got distracted by my own trauma. What was I gonna say? Anyway, he was like shocked to see how gay the Village people was. It's just like when he went to when he went to Madonna, I told y'all, my parents went to go see Madonna. And when they came back, they were like shocked. They were like, my dad was like there were so many gay people. Like that was the first thing he said. There was like a lot of gay people and they were all looked like they were polyamorous and then like they ran like sex dungeons and like glory hole saunas. They were all wearing like leather and they had like their titty like they're basically like naked. You know, he was shaken. She was shaken, you know? I mean, he was shaken. But my mom was like, you know, we went to the Pink concert. There were a lot of gays, but it was lesbians, right? But at the Madonna concert, it was gays. It was like gay men. It was the males. It was like insty. Insty's all over the damn place. Is this a gay, straight, safe place? This is not a straight, safe. This is a gays event only. Gays only event. Gays only event. Is that Gwen Stefani? Gwen Stefani? Who's gayer? Gwen Stefani or Madonna? I think Madonna. The gay cultural impact is another level, you know? My friend shoved his fingers up my ass. I love that for you, and I'm so happy for you, because I'm about to shove my fingers up my ass in about 5 seconds. Gay sabers out? Gay sabers out? What you doing? What you waiting? What? Gwen Stefani? What you waiting? What you waiting? What you waiting? What you... Okay, what are we doing? What you waiting for? I'm stroking. Hello? Come? Excuse me? We're clapping? Coom? Okay, what are we doing? We're getting distracted. This is a keyboard stream, y'all. People come... Listen, folks. Okay, everyone has to calm down. We're scaring away the new viewers. Everyone comes here for my keyboard expertise, obviously. Like, I'm an expert at keyboards, and they very much value my opinion in discussing keyboard-related topics on stream, which we do all throughout stream on a consistent basis. We constantly just keyboard. You know? And they asked me, hey, Nine, what keycaps? Hey, Nina, what do you think about this? You know, my opinion is just so valued. It's so valued. Oh, things that you said I do, I'm hung up. Oh, this is so gay. Okay, anyway. Come Redux? Yeah, it's Boo Production. Right here. What are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? Oh, there's split backspace? This is upside down. Oh, okay, so if y'all were... Okay, listen, keyboard-related stuff. I know you guys hate it when I talk about keyboard-related stuff. I'm sorry. Okay, I know it's fucking unbearable when I talk about keyboards, but just pay attention. For those of you who care about keyboards and not just the homosexual acts that occur on the stream, there is split backspace support and There is, whatever the fuck this is. 7U support right here. There's even split left shifts, but we don't care about that. There's also step cap. So, I personally think this PCB layout is better than the Pavlov. Is that okay? Is that okay for me to say? Is that okay for me to engage? I don't want to listen to this. No. Oh my god, this is gay. No, I'm going to listen to this. I keep dancing. Okay, anyway, so that is my one keyboard related thing that I'm gonna say. So this has more layouts than the Pavlov. If you are considering the Pavlov versus this one, you know, consider the fact that the boob reduction does have more layouts because boobs are superior, and you know. Okay, anyway. Oh god, are your parents home? But they're always home. My parents are home. They listen. My mom watches my streams. She knows about my shenanigans, and she's supportive. She's supportive. She's collecting evidence against me. Okay, the Rasp took her out. Well, they're used to your antics. Good stuff. They dep here. I'm deep throating my friend's Willie. Excuse me. Deep throating Willie's. Hello. Same here. I'm in the corner watching you kiss. Okay, what the fuck are we doing? Okay, we need to build this fucking keyboard. I don't even know what the fuck we're doing. Can we just like put on fucking stabilizers? Oh, is this should we use a 7U? Girl, you take it home. Does this work? I keep dancing. Okay, let's get these clip-ins on, buddy. Are there more clip-ins? Oh, there's this mode. Wait, let's put this on. Mode stabilizer, I guess. This is fucking disgusting. Well, mode stabilizer aren't disgusting, but I'm just saying my lubed up bag of fucking lubed. This is like this is the keyboard equivalent of like collecting used condoms. Do you see how disgusting? It's just like it's just a bunch of, there's just like random fucking screws and like it's all lubed up and fucking disgusting. And I need to get these screws out too. Who collects used condoms? Can you send them to me? Did we make her this way? Did we do something wrong? They made me this way. I'm born this way, okay? Deep throat cock month? It is cock month. Tony sucks? Hello? Tony almost got canceled? Listen, the tea was piping. The tea was fucking piping. I was ready. I was there ready for the cancellation. Okay? I was ready to be charged my cancellation fee. Do you remember Lady Gaga's hermaphrodite rumors? Oh my god, Mohuba, 18 months, welcome in. I was wondering where you were, Mo Hussy. Hello, how are you, Mo Hussy? Thank you very much for the 18 months. Someone already redeemed, push-up redeemed, unfortunately for you. Rest in peace, Bozo. My daddy clapped my oily cheeks. Hello? What? She's not ratchet at all. Ambulance is Amber Lamps is from a video. Good evening. Conservator always work ridiculous. I remember her interview with, what is it? Anderson Cooper. He was asking her about the hermaphrodite allegations. Do we think she beat the hermaphrodite allegations? She was so iconic. She was sucking on like a candy or whatever. And she was like, my fans don't care and neither do I. She's iconic. She was iconic for that. And Anderson Cooper thought like, he really thought he did something. He did not give a fuck, you know? She thought she was gonna be offended, you know? She's like, well, so what? So what if I have a penis? You know? So what? And she was like, what the fuck I do? Iconic, I'm afraid, exclamation hole. Submissive penis. Every time I say subpoena at work, I do a little giggle. I'm like, hee hee hee. Penis, hee hee. Sub penis, hee. You know, I do a little giggle, you know, like the silly little girl I am. You know, I'm just a silly little girl. I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl. What are we doing? What are we doing? Okay. Does this go in here? Does this go in? Are we doing it? Okay, there. It goes in. Okay, there you go. God bless America. God bless my fellow Americans. My fellow Americans. No, yes. What? It's Karma a drawer. Jojo Siwa has a new song. Should we listen to it? Charlie XCX. Charlie XCX, but we want to listen to JoJo. She's a real gay icon. She threw the first stone. I'm sorry, that was insulting. I'm sorry. Anyway, what? Can you guys cancel Tony instead, please? Like, I didn't say anything. Garbage, drawer. I was a bad girl. Let's see. Fucking the drawer? Does the box have a magnet? I'm gonna nut. Hold up. You guys have to watch this with me, okay? We need to... Oh my gosh, she is literally like, I'm such a big fan. Like, I actually really need to see her live in concert. You guys think I'm joking? I'm huge fan. Huge, okay? Let's see what's happening. The fucking drawer, Valentina Ally. Is it purple? It is purple. It's like a lavender-ish color. Welcome to Pride Month stream. This stream is dedicated to the gays, okay? Okay? Cher, Kylie, Madonna, Lana is who's the gayest? Cher, Kylie, Madonna, or Lana? I heard beach butthole. I was like, what is that? Don't mind if I did. Did I hear Tiggle Bitties? Yes. Tiggle Bitties here. Oh wait, I don't even have this. This isn't even on properly. Oh god. Oh god. Okay, hold up a second. You know, I really don't think she deserves all this hate, you know? I think she's, you know, she's doing something. You know, she's like baby Justin Bieber. Listen, Frost Zeech, I literally said that like earlier, I was like, what, you know, when someone comes in, they're gonna ask for a certain keycap, okay? He's like baby Justin Bieber. Like, you know when Justin Bieber got so much gay? When Justin Bieber got so much hate, not gay. Oh my god. Listen, slip. Anyway, Cox, cute board. Frost Witch is homophobic? Is it? Is the Frost bitch homophobic? Okay, this is like really loud in my ear. This is actually really loud. All right, what the fuck are we doing? Do we want to put an alu plate or should we start with an alu plate? Let's start with an aluminum plate. Aluminium. Can we start with an aluminium plate? Greg would look great on that. Gregorton. Oh god, that was a wet one. That was a wet one. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, let's try the aluminum plate first, okay? I don't even know what the fuck we're gonna use as switches. Can we figure that out? Okay, wait, hold on. What the fuck is on sale on KNC Keys? Because he's gonna be offended if I don't use a KNC Keys thing. Well, let me play another gay song. I need like a really gay song. Gimme, I'm out after midnight. Okay, KNC Keys, what the fuck do they have sale now? What is it? Black jacket switches. Oh god, I don't think I have any black jackets. Karma, little bitch. I should've known better. Okay. Let's see. Jammies. You want HMX hype? Ow! Fuck! I just dropped a whole box of switches. Oh my god. This is a disaster. Oh god. Oh god. Oh shit. I'm collecting switches. I'm very sorry for this unfortunate incident. Oh. Okay. Okay, there. And then, what do we want? What do we want? KMS keys. We're gonna try some KMS keys. Okay. Silly words, because we're feeling silly. What's the gayest switch? We want to do Zaku's potentially. We haven't used Zaku's. Okay, do we want to do this? Oh god, I just dropped like a bunch of switches on the floor. Okay, let's just use these. Okay, is that okay? Is that okay with you? Okay. All right, let's vote. Let's vote. Okay, we got options here, okay? Because I don't ever think about what I'm going to do before stream. You know what I mean? Okay, anyway. Switches. Who are my switches in chat? Zaku. Oh, fuck. Zaku. HMX Jammy. HMX Silly Work. Is that what it's called? Silly Works. KMS Keys Green Jackets. Okay, let's do these. Start poll. We got 2 minutes on the poll. There's so out there. No one to hear my prayer. Gimme, gimme, gimme a man after midnight. Won't somebody help me chase the shadows away? Gimme, gimme, gimme a man after midnight. Hold me through the darkness to the break of the day. Gimme, gimme a man after midnight. Oh, somebody help me chase the shadows away. Oh, gimme, gimme, gimme a man after midnight. I be through the darkness to the break of the day. Oh, I feel gay. The gayness is... Oh, I was knocked over these switches. Oh, God. Okay, listen, buddy. We're getting back in business. We're back in business. We need to stop fucking around. We need to focus, okay? I'm like so far behind. Color is gorgeous. Thank you. So pretty. Love this color. Thank you very much. I'm getting into the chat. Highlight of my week. The vibes are just pure happiness. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're happy. Where are those added psychiatric room? Thank you. Folks. Canceled with cunt. Wholesome. The entire. I was diagnosed with ADHD this weekend. Okay? I was diagnosed. She asked me questions and she said, you have ADHD, okay? And I was like, oh my God, I'm shocked. I've never heard of such a thing, okay? What is this? Show me love? We can't be friends. That's not gay. That's just homophobic. Ariana's giving like homophobia, not gonna lie. Can't get you out. Let's listen to this. Nah, nah. Didn't we already play this? We already played this. Oh my God, I'm dying. The streets are attacking me. Oh. Cut jail for my mother, who is sharing a cell with your mother, who is serving a lifelong sentence for slaying her husband. Yes, Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Anyway, I'm sorry. That was very uncalled for. Okay, I'm sorry. There's mother side. What do you call it? When you kill mothers, is it called mothercide? Infanticide is when they kill babies. What's the opposite? Mothercide? Maternal side? Matricide? Matricide? Mamacide? Hey, mamacita. Okay, what's happening? Yuhai is here. Hello, welcome in. Hello, Yuhai. Hello, how are you? How's Hinata doing? Now we're eating the straights in 2024. Not allowed to be straight during this month is illegal. Yes. Okay, what the fuck are we doing? Okay, Silly Works 1. Okay, let's go. There you go. There you go. We're doing it. Silly Works because we're silly. Oh, it's purple. Perfect. Perfect. All right, love y'all. Love this. Love this for y'all. Love me some purple. You know, it's very gay. When I went to college, we had a gay graduation, and it was called Lavender Grad. It was called Lavender Grad. And then they done got rid of it because of anti-DEI legislation by the Republicans because they don't want no gays to be surviving in the streets. They don't want the homos be running this country, these liberal institutions where we're brainwashing our children to be gay. So that's what happened. You know, they killed the gays. The gays are killed. The gays are dead. Okay, happy straight hate month. Every modern problem can be solved by simply bending. Exactly. Every problem can be solved by bending over. Bend your back over, okay? Every little thing you say, I'm hung up on you. Oh, it's not ABBA? Did you see someone say to want to sue Madonna and her show was lewd? Lewd, I mean, wait, really? Because my parents were literally like, saying that like she was like making out with all of her backup dancers and stuff. Like they were all like titties out, you know, like everything was fucking hanging. All the appendages were hanging. All the appendages were out. They were dangling and hanging. Zero straight ones. It's not ABBA. Best story. You converted him. He's gay now. You dragged him. A sexual awakening. I dragged my father is gay now. Do you know how many people actually think my dad is gay? Because he dresses in very, very tight turtlenecks. He wears a lot of bucket hats and he wears very bright colors. Do you know how many fucking gay men like my dad? It's actually crazy. I've seen like gay men like approach my father because he be out here. He's like a peacock. He's like a peacock, you know? Emphasis on cock. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. He, you know, he's homophobic. He can't be straight. What? I'm just kidding. He's not homophobic. What? He's not homophobic, I swear. Okay, what? If your dad was truly an ally, he would be gay this month. She has gay fans. Your mom's super homophobic, and I'm pretty sure her sister's a closeted lesbian. What? Oh, my mom. Oh, your mom is super homophobic. I'm pretty sure her sister. Okay. That makes sense. I was saying you think my mom is homophobic. Wait, so your parents do not have a glory hole sauna. They unfortunately do not have a glory hole sauna. Unfortunate for me, okay? We need to play more gay songs. Where are the gay songs? We need like real gay shit. Like real gay girl shit. Real gay girl shit. I don't know any of these gay non-gay songs. I need like real gay shit. Where is the gay shit? Rain on Me is gay. Ariana's my gay icon, you know? She race bends. She's sexually bent. Well, she's sexual oriental is what she is, okay? Your parents were shooketh? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, finger popping in each asshole? We're popping in assholes? What the fuck is happening? Lifelong spinster? Okay, I'm like taking so long on this. Okay, I need to hurry up. Missouri! It's raining down on me! Oh, yes, gays. Everyone, fucking jump! Rain on me, rain on me, rain. Everyone put your hands up! The beat's about to drop. Rain on me. Yeah, Ariana, my lesbian icon. You gotta shake your booty holes, shake your assholes. Comfort keyboards. Here she is. People come for keyboards. Custom is here. Hello, welcome in. Okay, we gotta hurry up on building this boob keyboard. Very important that we build this boob keyboard. It is like actually fucking so fucking crucial. Like it's literally like mission critical right now. Literally like the world is not gonna continue to spin if I don't finish this keyboard, okay? All right, we're building a gay purple keyboard for all the gays in chat, all the homos. Hey, homo. Hi, homo. Hi, gay. AAPI month into Pride month. I'm saying, when is Women's History Month? When's Women's History Month? Women's History Month was March. We almost, okay, was it Black History Month in April? Black History Month was April, right? Oh no, it was February. What was April? What the fuck was April then? Wait. Who are we celebrating? What month what April awareness? Who are we celebrating in April? Who did we celebrate in April? April's including National Testicular Cancer Aware. No, that is not right. What the fuck were we celebrating? We were not celebrating National Testicular Cancer Awareness Month in April. Girl, what the fuck? Wait. AAPI was last month, right? May? And then we have Pride Month. What the fuck was April? Is no one answering who... How do I even ask? National Stress Awareness Month? What? I just have to put what minority group? What minority month is April? What? Heritage Month? Oh, it's women. Wait. What the Oh, it's called Heritage Month. I don't even... What's this? April is Arab American... Is that right? Oh, Pillow Snatcher, thank you for the Prime Month. I appreciate... Prime... I just said Prime Month because I was thinking Pride Month. Oh my god. Thank you for the Prime sub during Pride Month. Jesus Christ. Thank you, Pillow Snatcher. You're stashing those pillows. How are those pillow princesses? Anyway, API, a comfort keyboard. Starsky, hello. Did I say hi to Starsky? Can we get a shout out to Starsky, Scuff streamer extraordinaire? I don't want to listen to this. I want like real gay shit, like real gay girl shit. This is not gay. Like, what is this? Icona Pop is gay. We're allowed to play this. Hello, Starsky, Scuff streamer, Booba Maker. Hello. Let's see. Hey, Nana, what's the gayest keyboard? Hello, Keyrist is here. Instagram shout out to Keyrist. I was thinking we had a conversation about this, like what the gayest keyboard is, but we had a conversation about what the gayest keyboard layout is. I was saying one of the gayest keyboard layout is like 40%. They them energy. Oh god. Hey Nigo, I'm new. What's the best gaming switch? That would be Instigator. Except I don't know if he games. I don't know if that best gaming switch, you know? Who has a Switch here and who games? That is the best gaming Switch that I personally know, okay? The asshole finger popping, 21 Jump Street. I did not know what asshole finger popping is. Do y'all like popping asshole fingers? What? I actually quite like this board. I do like the curve. Yes, there is ISO. ISO, in search of enter. Brian, okay, Google play my game list. Haley Kiyoko, listen. I cannot listen to Haley Kiyoko. Listen, it's too for the baby gays. The baby gays are like, I can't listen to the stuff the baby gays listen to. Like fucking, what is it? The 3 gays in that one band? Boy Genius? What is it? I can't listen to the little baby gays, okay? I can't listen to Julian Baker, Girl in Red, William Eyelash. Apparently William Eyelash wants to eat ladies like her lunch, okay? ADHD Serotonin League, hello. She's got the brain power to memorize. Wait, probably, what the fuck are y'all talking? I can't even read half the stuff. She'd have brain power to watch a movie. She got brain power to watch this, that's a whole different league. Exclamation build. Oh no, we're not using, I'm sorry, we're not using a PC play. This is the wrong, okay, I'm sorry. My build command is always fucked, okay. Legally changing my name to Willie. Willie, listen. Show me your Willie. Hello, Tony is here. Hello, Canceled King. King of cancel culture right here. He created a whole culture. You know what? The Heritage Month we're celebrating in April is cancel culture month. Okay, that's the best culture. I don't care about Asian culture. I don't care about gay culture. I care about cancel culture, okay? Patina Lube, age to perfection. Nai Nai the Mama Ni Hao Ning. This is where the gays are at. Stubbs McGee is here. Hello, Stubbs is here to hang out with the gays. Hello, welcome in, Stubbs. My homophobic gay ally. Welcome in, Stubbs. Shout out, yes, thank you for the shout out to Stubbs. Thank you for the shout out to Tony. I appreciate it. Hello. Hello, hello. Okay, what's happening? 你妈的，你的妈妈在哪里？你妈在你屁眼里。你妈在我，你妈坐在我屌上。Anyway, sorry, that was very vulgar. I'm sorry. Peggy Go? What the fuck? Wait, Renee Rapp? Don't tell. Oh yeah, Renee Rapp is another one that the baby gays listen to. The baby gays need to have real taste, and that is Jojo Siwa. This is gay. This Barbie song is gay. I'm like messing with this. Oh, what am I doing? Help! What? 这里 cannot read simp. What the fuck? What the fuck is going on? Through the first stone, I'm dead. I love the American memes with eagle noises. Okay, what the fuck are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? All right, we're gonna like fucking unscrew this shit. We're gonna unscrew this, okay? Blue's the warmest color. She's Tony's age. The movie is, she's a child? Who's a child? That child? Who is a charred? I just said charred. Blue's the warmest color. That movie is actually insane. Like, the sex scene was, like, crazy. Like, for what reason, bro? They be, like, literally, they had to use a fake coochie in that movie, apparently. Like, I don't even know how that works. You have to, like... oh, God. You, like, put the fake coochie over your coochie or something? Like, I want to know. There's, like, intimacy coordinators in Hollywood. Good movie, yeah. I've seen Blue's the Gayest Color. Yes, Nap Wizard, we are singing. Blue's the gay. Why is Blue's the gayest color? Because a straight Tunisian man said gay color is blue. Well, actually, he didn't write the movie, but you know, I need to know. Blue Eyes White Dragon is just gay eyes white dragon. If you think about it, which is the gayest? Well, we talk about this gayest Yu-Gi-Oh monster. Is that what you call them? Like Pokemon are called Pokemon? I'm playing the fuck out Lil Nas X. Did you say child with a Beijing? Charred? Tired? Charred? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Look at these internal school. Charred? This song is cunt, okay? Okay, I wore a blue shirt today. I love that for you, you know? I'm very proud of you for wearing a blue shirt today. I know, like, even a simple life task like that is very hard for someone like you. So, you know, I'm very proud of you. Very proud, you know? Very proud. Okay, what's happening? Do we put this like that? Okay, we need screws. Where are the screws? Screws, screws, screws. I can dance, I can dance, I can dance. Are we using frost switch? We're gonna consider using frost switch. You know, we'll consider it. You know, I'll give it some consideration. You know, every single contract requires consideration. Consider these nuts. Okay. All right. What are we doing? I don't know what I'm saying. I mean, it's purple. It is purple. Warm ass gay dragon. There's a counter. Yes, there is a burp counter. At this point, it really should be way more than that, the burp counter. But, you know, unfortunately, we can't go back. We can't change history. You know, we can't change history. History is being made right now. The only one of libido is gay. Isn't that the one? Which one is the gay band that has that like really gay choreo where this guy's basically like sucking off the other member? That's like the really gay choreo, right? You know what I'm talking about, Emmy, but you know this one. They're like, he was like on his knees and he had his like hand up his crotch. You know that. Is that libido? Is that what? Is that the one I'm talking about? That's the one? That's the gay one? Let's see. Fuck, someone clip that. Switches everywhere. F, arch duchess, arch your back. Hello? We're arching backs. And raining fellows, we are. Okay. What are we doing? We're putting on these little, whatever the fuck, gaskets, but we're not gonna do the spacebar gaskets, because, you know, it affects the sound. Is that okay? Someone clip that? Oh god, what is this? I hope everybody gets overlaid from everyone. Oh, the yelling from the street, the Switch is being homophobic. It's very true. I was there. I was hate crime, okay? Is yes and gay? Oh, we gotta play this. Oh my god, this is from the legend. We gotta play this. Come in! I'm a fan of Zaku every time. I bet you are. Keep Live tickets, by the way, sold out in under 1 minute. If y'all didn't know. Sold out in under 1 fucking minute. I bet someone, you know, someone scalped it. Someone bought 20 at once. Who got a Keep Live ticket? Who's going to Keep Live? Why there's so many HMX switches? Because I'm an HMX simp and I'm writing the HMX. I'm writing the HM dick. Is that okay? Gimme. HMX Jammy has glitter. Yeah, we'll pick whatever switches are next, okay? This is just the first build, okay? Fear not, my children. Why is it taking an hour to fucking do a fucking hot swap build? Jesus. To know. I hated ABBA for a few years. Legit didn't matter what radio station. Why did you hate ABBA? Haunted by this so catchy they get stuck in my head. Oh, bro, I love ABBA. Growing up, my dad played ABBA so much. I thought ABBA was the fucking pop music at the time. You know, I was like, damn, they're old as fuck, bro. They're old as fuck. Nactam is here, Corn Guy. Hello, Corn Guy. How are you doing, Corn? You watch a lot of Corn? Are you exploding Corn? Nactam and exploding Corn. Which one is more Corn Guy? We need the battle of the Corn Guys. Matt has that corn, you know, thing. The corn thing. But he has a corn addiction. But exploding corn is always exploding corns. You know what I mean? Classic only took 20 minutes to answer. Oh god, I'm sorry. How far behind am I? Goodness. All right, let's do this. Are we good? Let me see. Is this working? It's not registering. It is not registering. Oh god. Oh, what's happening? I'm supposed to be shot. Are we supposed to be shot? Congrats on your neurospicy. Thank you, Turtle Cat, on congratulating me on my illness, love. Am I mentally ill, love? Am I mentally ill? Oh my god. Why is this not working? 911 emergency. Is there a reset button on here? Oh god, am I gonna die? Where's the reset button? Is there one? Let me see. What's happening here? Looks like it. Is it the opposite way? Looks like no, it's supposed to do it like this. Is it not working? It's not working! It's not working, mate! They gays, ADHD gang, I got diagnosed when I was 13. My doctor, my psychiatrist told me, you know, like, women get diagnosed very differently, you know? And apparently, you know, she said, you know, on all levels, including physical, you are ADHD. What is it called when you're have ADHD? Oh, wait, it's working now. What the fuck? What is it called when you have ADHD? Are you ADHD on all? You are ADHD. You are, you know, when you have autism, you're autistic, but like ADHD is like your ADHD. Matricide, momicide, pesticide, momicidal, haniac, lavendal. If I had children and they were straight, sorry, they gotta go. What would we do? What would be the biggest crime? Having a gay child. I think so. No, I mean, having a straight... I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm saying. Lavender is gay. Lavender is very gay, okay? I can't support such a lifestyle. I am into this gay lifestyle, and I chose it. And, you know, to all the gay people who said it wasn't a choice, it was a choice. I made it myself, okay? And, you know... Republicans hit me up. I will make gay hate speeches. I hate gay people. What? No. I lied. You know who would? Insty. He's a massive bully. He's gay. What? What am I talking about? I don't even know what I'm reading anymore. It's all got pretty nice colors. Closeted. That's just older Chinese. These Chinese people. Older Chinese people indeed gay. Now I Google, does your dad need a boyfriend? Listen. Some of these pictures he sends me, so he goes like golfing, right? Some of these men look like gay as fuck. He's be sending me pictures and I'm like, bro, you guys look like a couple of gay men, like going on a fucking, like, you guys look gay. And I tell him that. He's like, not everyone's gay, but I'm like, yes, everyone is gay, father. Father, you are a homo. Father! Am I missing a fucking screw? I think I'm missing a screw. Oh, wait, it's here. I lied. Let's see. Tell us more about the glory hole saunas. Listen, do y'all not know about the glory hole saunas? Apparently in Vancouver, there's some glory hole saunas. You know? There's some glory hole saunas. Is this gonna work? Does this take a while? Oh, it's working. It's working now. Okay, let me remap this bitch. Okay, can I remap it for 1 second? That shit's sloppy. Homewrecker slay. She really did. She be doing the homewrecker bops. You know what I mean? Should we look at this fucking boop redux? We should. We probably should. Can I show y'all? I need to show y'all this keyboard. Okay. I don't even know what we're doing. Okay, I'm gonna show off the keyboard because that's, you know, that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to build keyboards. Okay. There's 2 lifted anodized black. It starts at $239. I personally prefer this over the Pavlov. So far, I don't know the sound, but so far, okay, because of the layout, okay, there's split backspace, there's split left shift, there's a 7U, there's an ISO enter. We love to see it, and look at these colors. It also sounds like boob reduction. I have this, what the fuck is this color? Anodized light purple, okay? And look at this weight. Look at it. Beautiful, gorgeous. It comes with a case, FR4 aluminum and polycarbonate plates. So you're getting basically all the add-ons, okay? All the add-ons, baby, okay? We love this here. We love to hear. Oh, we gotta do a fucking, I gotta drink this tea. Oh my God, what's happening? I need to download this JSON file. Anyway, it's in stock right now. You guys got any, what the fuck? Okay, hopefully this works. Okay, it's paired. The fuck was that? Load? We're loading? Should not have additional properties. Okay. Do we do this? Is this working? Is it working? Configure? Paired? Connect? Can it work? Excuse me? Load. We're loading. Okay, boop, connect, bam, configure. There you go. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Okay, lovely. It's lovely, innit? It's lovely. Okay. I'm very sorry to all the British people. I'm very sorry. Lovely. It's lovely, innit? Okay. What the fuck are we doing? This goes like that and then that, and everything is working, right? Are we good? Are we Gucci? Are we 100? Are we 100? Are we with the kids? Are we with the crowd? Okay, yes we are. All right, it's working. It's working, folks. Folks, in it. In it. I'm in it. I'm in you. I'm in your mum. National Pickleball Month. That's disgusting. I'm disgusted. It's your birthday month, April. We need a connect month in April. We need another minority to be celebrated. April. Can we create it? April Fools? I think Fools. Are Fools a minority group? Chat, are Fools a minority group? Do Fools deserve their own month? That is the real question. Royce0705, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. How are you? Just follow the butt. Excuse me. Testicle Awareness Month. Okay, are testicles a minority? Do testicles deserve rights? Do they deserve a say? I think this is, you know, we're getting really political and very controversial. April is a dry month. Autism Acceptance Month. Please accept me. The fruit bar is the gayest keyboard. It's crazy because fruit is like actually completely straight. I'm sorry to burst your homo bubbles, but fruit is actually completely straight and we are all shocked. We are shocked. The people were shocked. The gays were shocked. The president of the United States had to release a statement, okay? Oh, hey, gay. JoJo's a baby. Ergo, 10 gays less. 10 gay less? Tim Gayless? I should have named my channel 10 gayless. Is that okay? Banana Bread Chief, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. I'm glad you like banana bread. I actually don't like banana bread. I like bananas though. I like bananas on their own. I don't like it when they're incorporated into other things. It's a thing. It's a mental thing for me, okay? Therapists check you for dyslexia. I could never. I'm not dyslexic. I'm a dyslexbian. He makes good music? What? Nine is one of those rare people who get it at the exact same speaking. I actually like speak like this at home. Like when I'm really excited, like when I speak, my mom is constantly telling me to like stop yelling. And I'm like, I'm literally not yelling. I'm just talking. I get so excited, you know, when I'm at home. According to Insty, I'm a child. Listen, you child. Okay, what the fuck are we doing? Let's put on some keycaps. All right, Frost bitch, obviously. Lavender, obviously. For obvious reasons. Okay. What else could go on here? Lavender, Frost bitch. Maybe Taro? We have not used Taro in a while. Purple Knight, Taro. Oh, I think, you know what? Maybe Taro, maybe Bees. Anal, maybe will look good. Maybe Zooted. Are these good? Are these good options? Astral, I do not have anal light. I do not have asshole light. Okay. I do not have tubes. Okay, I'm sorry, buddy. Buddy Beijing Chard. How far behind am I? I'm only 13 minutes. Okay, I think the actor's red was not comfortable with the sex scenes. Yes, apparently, you know, the blue's the gayest color in that movie. You know, there was some weird shit that happened on the set, you know. Lots of sex, you know. Okay. Keycaps. This is our first build, by the way. Keycaps. Zooted. Anal. Taro. Lavender. And Frost redacted. I'm gonna put redacted, okay? There you go. Frost redacted, okay? I have to switch. Where's my knife? I have to change black shirt later. I've been talking about getting the burp counter. I don't think anyone uses a lot. Please be on top of the game with the burp counter. It is essential. It is crucial to the performance of the stream that you keep up with the burp counter, okay? There are abandoned most shows because, like, yes, Libido, that's the gay one. Oh, wait, we gotta play Matt's song request. Oh, God. Leighton, who the fuck is this? Is this gay? Candy Meg, is Christina Aguilera gay? I sometimes get her and Gwen Stefani mixed up. Is that right? I got a Keep Life ticket. Well, you know, but no need to brag, Turtle Cat. No need to brag that you bought it. You bots. I'm just kidding. I would never call you a bot. Turtlebot. Isn't Turtlebot the bot in your stream? I want to go. I definitely couldn't bot fast enough. I was in the middle of getting my eyes examined. We'll try. Yes. Get your bot chat. I mean, get your tickets. I don't even know what I'm saying. Get ready for the next round of Keyblind tickets. Oh god. Why did you hate ABBA as I write why I hated them in the text? But oh no, it's because they were everywhere. It's like this ain't Texas. You know, when I went to California, I kept saying this ain't Texas. It was just so funny to me. I don't know why, because anal is winning. Are you serious? Anal is winning over all of these? Really? But if I didn't call it anal, I bet you guys wouldn't vote for it because you guys are fucking dirty pervs. You fucking perverts. Bunch of pervs. You guys deserve to be spanked like this. That's how you deserve to be spanked. Like that. It's actually really fun whacking this. How do I open this? Oh, it's already open on this other side. Okay, let's see. Let's see. I wasn't able to get Keyblind tickets. Yeah, I know. What a shame. What a shame, okay? He's just a poor boy from a poor family, spared at this life as this monstrosity. Mamma mia, let me go. Beelzebub and the devil put aside for me, for me, for me. And I learned to read a whole message. I would never read a whole message. Why would I do it? For me. Okay, we're like, there's too much happening right now. What the fuck won? Anal? Okay, of course. There's too much going on right now. My brain is on overload mode. I was able to get Keyblind. Hello, Dane this Keeps? Daniel? Daniel this Keeps? Welcome in. When will she see my message in 8 years? Oh, God. I don't... Oh, fuck. Fuck. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, we're putting anal... Wait, hold on. Am I missing... Where am I? I'm missing keycaps. I'm missing keycaps. Where did it go? I'm literally missing my anal keycaps. Where the fuck is it? If I don't find it, girl. Oh my god, where is it? It's not in the fucking... Oh my god. Did I lose my fucking... Did I... Where is... What? Oh my god. Where is it? Where are my anal... Where are my anal beads? The last time I used anal, it was on pro... Does Stacy have it? Did I accidentally give it to Stacy? Oh my god. I remember Tex-Mex. Was that the last time? Wait, hold up. The protagonist went to Stacy. Did I fucking... There's no way. No, there's no way. No, I disassembled that. Where the fuck are my keycaps? Oh my god. Okay, what was second? We can't use this. Oh my goodness. Hello. Okay, I'm panicking. Kimlin, when is your happy gay month to the bisexuals? Happy bisexual month. The B in LGBT stands for bisexual. Boob reduction pride month. Yes, we are kidding off with the breast reduction. And then we need to reduce it so the boobs will grow. You know, 2K to function, securing 18-minute delay. Oh god. Whiskey dick. Last video was a reflection. Oh! Oh my god. Oh my, okay. You know, what would I do? What would I do? It's right here. It was right here. I forgot I built this board. It's so forgettable. I'm just kidding. I lied. Okay, I lied. Sorry for, sorry for panicking. Sorry for panicking. It was right. It was this one because it was Insty loves Mod Pipe and HHKB. How could I forget? Of course, Insty remembers because, this was basically a hate crime. I'm hate criming you right now on Pride Month. Report me to the FBI. Add me to their federal hate crime statistics, okay? Oh god. Being a child is, what the fuck? What happened to my, oh my god, this is disaster. This is a disaster. We're so far behind. Can we get a shout out to Kim, please? Kim. Being a child is indeed worse. Blue, he gulps. That's straight child. How we were gay bloodline. Speaking of gay bloodline, is anyone gonna watch House of the Dragon? The actor that plays Rhaenyra Targaryen can literally destroy every single one of my holds simultaneously. I'm sorry, that was too much. I'm sorry, that was too much. Okay, anyway. What's happening? What? I didn't say anything. What? Bathhouses? Yes, exactly. Golf bros in their pastel bath polos and chubby. Bro, I have chubbies. I wear chubbies, bro. You know chubbies? When you unzip the pants, it says boom shakalaka on it. It's crazy. Oh god, what happened to this? Why is it not coming up? Oh, I gotta press this in. Why is it being weird? Is this stab being weird? What the fuck? What is wrong with this stab? Okay. Why? What the fuck is wrong with this? Ah! What is wrong with this? What did I do? What the fuck? I'm not about to fucking... Ah! Okay, fuck it, whatever. It's fine. Oh, the spacebar sounds at least nice, though. Okay, we're just gonna forget about the key. Anyway, am I wrong, step bro? Avo is here. Is that mod for Kimlin Win Avo? Head mod? Kimlin Win's head mod. Does Kim have a head mod? If Kim has a head mod, it's Avo. Is it Avo or Avo or Avo? Can someone explain? Where are you really from? I'm out here looking like douchey frat bros. What? That hurt, innit? Never insult British people. Is it okay to insult British people? I've actually started watching The Crown. I'm crowning? I've actually started watching The Crown. Not gonna lie, I caught myself crying, like kind of tearing up at one of the scenes, but I'm like, it's just the royal family. Like, they did so many awful things. Why am I doing this? And I felt like, I felt very, very unwoke at that moment, Very unwoke. Fools are the majority, fools rule. What do you mean fools are the majority? I'm not a fool. I'm a very informed voter. I inform myself. I definitely look up all the issues on the ballot before I go vote, and I definitely vote. I vote. That's how I am. You could say, oh, voting is whatever, but I be voting. Which month has the whores month? Testicles are too much. Someone says testicles have too much. How are testicles not a permitted term? What the fuck is wrong with this fucking... What is wrong with this stabilizer? Why? I'm confused. Is this not... Hold on. You know what? I think I know the issue. Here. Oh god. Oh, I literally broke the stab. Oh my god. I broke the stab and it's working. I broke the stab and it's literally working way better than I broke the part that clips in and it's working so much better. Sometimes I'm a fucking genius. I'm like literally like in that, like, you know that meme and that boy was Einstein? It's me. I'm boy. I'm the boy. Testicles have too much say. I'm hearing of testicles. I'm hearing of testicle. What do you mean fruit straight? It's in the name. Probably why the 40s community excommunicated him. Yeah, exactly. Because the 40s community is very gay. It's a very gay community. And he gay baited. He's a gay baiter. He gay baited me. He's a gay baiter. First class. Up in the sky. Page up. And then page down. Do we need to put page down here? I can't believe I broke the stab and it's working so much better than before. Oh god, banana has a weird opposite. Banana and banana bread is just too strong. Okay, way to alienate new viewers. Okay? You guys aren't being very friendly or being... Oh, Manic! Gay 10 months of being gay? Wait, I can't do it right now. I need to do it at the end of stream. I need to do my gay thing at the end of stream. Okay, I'm sorry. It's not there yet, but it will be coming. Thank you very much, Manic, for the 10 months. Can we get a shout out to Manic? One of my favorite Sunday streamers. Sunday morning rain is falling. Says I'm gonna share some skin. Crowds are shrouding us at moments unforgettable. Banana smoothie? Smoothie. Hey, cum taste. Anal beads for anal caps. You know what? No comment. I was gonna make a comment about anal beads, but I feel like I might be oversharing. There needs to be boundaries in our parasocial relationships, you know? There needs to be boundaries, you know? Imagine if, you know, I know you guys can't believe it, but there are boundaries, you know? There are no boundaries. What the fuck am I looking for? Should I put this another escape key? Can I just put this here? Fuck it. I'm just gonna put this here. Okay, we're done. Okay, I thought I lost my fucking... I thought Stacy had my fucking... Anyway. Oh. Very interesting spacebar, indeed. Anal for Pride Month, exactly. Anal playlist. Oh shit, this is not gay. Okay, I'm sorry. This is not the gay playlist. I played Matt's song request and then it was auto playing. Okay, it makes a lot of sense. The playlist needs to be more gay. Okay, you got it. Here it is. Imagine playing an actual gay artist for Gay Pride Month and not just playing Madonna. Well, Madonna's like bi, right? Madonna's like, she could fuck everything, you know? She'd be fucking, you know? Burp for us, that's not gay. Turtle Pot is my bot. I'm on mobile, I can't vote. Well, you know what? That's not very patriotic of you, okay? All right, let's see. All right. Prediction, typing test prediction, okay? Emphasis on dick. Oh god, is this not entering? All right, prediction time. Prediction. Is this working? Oh, it takes a while. Oh, it takes a little bit, okay. Oh, my mind. You just got me started. Prediction, all right. Start prediction. Is this 5 minutes? 5 minute, okay, prediction time. Prediction is up. Anal since